I want to ask you something tonight, and I want you to answer it honest. Do you know what your kidneys are doing right now, this very moment, while you sit there? They are cleaning your blood, every drop of it. They have been doing it since before you were born, and they have never once taken a day off. And here is a part that ought to stop you cold every single night while you sleep. Those two quiet little workers do the hardest shift of the day. They clean, they strain, they balance. They keep you alive through the dark hours while you do not give them a single thought. And what did you feed them before you went to bed last night? A bag of chips? A bowl of ice cream? Nothing at all. Most folks past 50 have no idea that what they eat in the hour before they lay down has everything to do with how well those kidneys do their night's work. And most folks past 50 have no idea that a handful of plain fruit from the garden, the kind the old folks ate every evening without thinking twice, is one of the kindest things you can do for those two quiet workers before you close your eyes. That is what I want to show you tonight. 4 plain fruits the old people leaned on, the ones that happen to be the gentlest and the kindest to a body's kidneys, and how a small bowl of them before bed can do more good than a shelf full of pills and powders ever will. Now, let me tell you how I came to understand this. Ruth and I have a habit in this house that goes back further than we do. Every evening, after the supper dishes are done and the kitchen is put right, Ruth sets out a small bowl on the table. Not a big thing, just a handful of whatever fruit is in season. In the summer, it is the berries from the garden. In the fall, it is an apple from the tree. In the winter, it is whatever she put up in jars, or what we keep frozen from the summer picking. We sit and eat it slow together before we go up to bed. Now, we did not do this because we read a book about kidneys. We did it because Ruth's mother did it, and her mother before her. It was just the way the evening ended in this family. A little something sweet from the garden, and then to bed. And it was not until I got older and started hearing about folks my age having trouble with their kidneys that I began to understand what that simple little bowl was doing for us all along. I am Samuel Yoder. I am Amish, and I farm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. My family came over from the German country and settled on this land in 1838, and they ate plain food off their own land, and it kept their bodies strong into a good old age, same as I mean to, and I want to be straight with you right at the start, the way I always am. I'm not a doctor. The kidneys are serious business. If you have real kidney trouble, if your doctor has told you your kidneys are not working right, if you are on any kind of medicine for them, that is a matter between you and your doctor, and I would never in my life tell you to set that aside for a bowl of fruit. Real kidney disease is a real thing, and it belongs in the hands of a real doctor. What I am going to give you tonight is the plain old wisdom about feeding your body kind, especially past 50, in a way that is gentle on the kidneys and good for the sleep and easy on the blood. Not medicine, not a cure, just the good sense of the old folks who ate from the garden and whose bodies held up better than ours do, and I think we both know that is true. Now, let me give you the plain picture of what your kidneys actually do, because most folks do not think about it until there is trouble, and by then the trouble has been building a long while. Think of your kidneys like the well pump on an old farm. The well pump pulls the water up from under the ground and pushes it through a filter and sends it out clean to the house, all day, all night. If that filter gets clogged up or worn out, the water comes through dirty and the whole house suffers for it. Your kidneys are that pump and that filter. Both they pull your blood through and clean it, every drop of it, and send it back out to your body fresh. They do this every single hour of every single day. And the hardest shift is at night, when the body is resting and the kidneys are doing the deep cleaning, straining out the waste that built up during the day. Now, here is the part most folks get exactly backward, and it is no fault of theirs, because nobody tells them. Most of the talk about kidneys is about what to take away. Less of this, none of that, cut this out, stop eating that. And some of that is true and important, especially for folks with real kidney trouble. But there is another side that nobody talks about, and it is just as important. It is what you can add, what you can feed those kidneys before bed to help them do their night's work better. And here's where the old folks had it right without ever knowing why. The plain fruits from the garden, the berries, the apples, the cherries, these are some of the gentlest, kindest foods you can feed a body's kidneys. They are easy on the blood. They do not overload the strainers, and they carry in them the very things that help the kidneys stay strong and clean and working right year after year. So let me give you the 4 I want you to know about, the ones Ruth and I lean on most, and I will tell you plain for each one what it does and what it does not. The first, and to my mind the most important for the evening, is the tart cherry. The sour cherry, not the big sweet ones you eat by the handful in June, but the small, sour, tart ones. Now here's why I put the tart cherry first. It does 2 things at once that matter to a person past 50. First, it helps you sleep. There is something in the tart cherry, something natural that the plant makes, that works on the body the way a quiet evening works on the mind. It settles you. It helps the body find its rhythm for the night, and better sleep matters to the kidneys more than most folks know. Because the kidneys do their deepest work when the body is resting well, Ruth makes a small glass of tart cherry juice in the evening, the unsweetened kind, and she drinks it about an hour before bed. She has done this for years. She sleeps deeper on the nights she drinks it on the nights she does not. I have seen it in her, and I have felt it in myself. And here is the second thing. The tart cherry is gentle on the kidneys. It does not carry a heavy load of the things that make the kidneys work harder. It is light, it is easy, and it carries in it things that calm the slow, quiet kind of wear that builds up in a body over the years, the kind that, left alone, is what wears the kidneys down over time. Now, hear me plain. A glass of tart cherry juice does not fix a kidney that is already sick. It does not undo years of damage. It does not replace a doctor's care. But for a sound kidney in a body past 50, it is one of the gentlest, kindest things you can put in before you lay down to sleep. And that is an honest thing and a real one. Half a cup of the sour cherries or a small glass of the unsweetened juice about an hour before bed. That is all it takes, and if you cannot find the fresh ones, the frozen ones are just as good. Ruth buys them frozen in the winter and keeps a bag in the icebox all season long. She thaws a handful in a small dish and adds them to the evening bowl. Same good, same ease, no waste. Before I go on, let me pause a moment. The second fruit is the berries, and by that I mean the blueberries and the strawberries both, because Ruth and I use them the same way and for the same reason. The berries are what I would call the quiet helpers. They do not hit you over the head with anything. You do not feel a big change from eating a handful of blueberries, but inside they are doing a steady, quiet good. The berries carry in them what I think of as the body's rust stoppers. Now, you know what happens to a piece of iron left out in the weather. It rusts. Slowly, over time, the rain and the air wear it down, and one day it crumbles. Well, the body does a kind of rusting too, especially as it gets older, a slow wearing and roughening of the insides that you cannot see or feel, but that over years is part of what wears the kidneys and the heart and the blood vessels down. The berries carry the very things that fight that rusting, that slow it, that protect the tender parts from the wear of the years, and they do it without putting any strain on the kidneys at all. They are light, they are easy, they are gentle. Ruth puts a handful of blueberries in that evening bowl near every night of the week. In the summer, they come straight from the garden. In the winter, she uses the ones she froze in July, and they are just as good, a handful of strawberries alongside them, and you have a small bowl that is doing a genuine kindness to your kidneys and your heart both for the price of what fell off the bush in your own backyard. Now, the honest limit, a handful of berries does not cure kidney disease. It does not reverse damage that is done. But for a body that is still sound and wants to stay that way, past 50, past 60, past 70, the berries are one of the plainest and best friends the kidneys have, and they taste good besides, which is more than can be said for most pills. The third is the apple, and I put this one in because it is the simplest and cheapest and most available of them all, and because the old folks ate one near every evening and were the better for it. An apple before bed does a few quiet good things. The skin of the apple, and you want to eat the skin, that is where most of the good lives, carries the same kind of crust, stoppers the berries do, and the flesh of the apple carries a good deal of the fiber that helps the body move things through and keep the insides running clean. But here is the part that matters most for a person past 50. If you have trouble with your blood sugar, and a great many folks past 50 do, the apple is one of the gentlest ways to settle it before bed. The fiber in the apple slows everything down. It keeps the blood sugar from jumping and dropping through the night. And that steadiness is a genuine kindness to the kidneys because the kidneys suffer when the blood sugar is bouncing around. Eat it whole. Eat it with the skin on. Do not peel it. Do not drink apple juice instead because the juice is just the sugar with the good taken out. The whole apple, eaten slow before bed. That is the old way and the right way. Ruth sometimes slices one up and puts a little bit of the powdered cinnamon on it, the real kind, and eats it with the evening bowl of berries. A simple thing, a plain thing, and a genuine good to the body. I will tell you I have eaten an apple before bed near every night of my life since I was a boy. My own father did the same. He would take a knife and cut the apple into slices at the kitchen table and eat them, slow, one by one, and I do not think he ever once thought of it as being good for his kidneys or his blood sugar. It was just what you ate. It was what was there. The tree gave it, and you ate it before bed. And you slept well and woke up well and did not think about it. That is the way of most old wisdom. Nobody called it a health practice. Nobody made a program out of it. They just did what made sense, and their bodies were the better for it, without anyone ever writing a paper on it. And the fourth, and this is the one I want to be the most careful and honest about, is the cranberry. Now, you have heard about cranberries being good for the kidneys and the bladder, and there is truth in that. The old folks used them, especially the women, and especially in the winter. There is something in the cranberry that helps keep certain kinds of trouble from taking hold in the bladder, the kind of trouble that if it climbs up can reach the kidneys and cause real harm. But here is where I must be straight with you because there is a trick in the way cranberries are sold today that fools a lot of good people. Most of the cranberry juice you buy at the store is not really cranberry juice. It is sugar water with a little cranberry in it. And sugar is one of the worst things you can pour through a kidney. So a person drinks a big glass of cranberry juice cocktail thinking they are doing their kidneys a favor, and they are actually feeding them the very thing that wears them down. That is the catch, and it is a real one. If you want the good of the cranberry, you need the real thing, the unsweetened juice, which is sour and honest and does not taste like candy, or the whole cranberries, frozen or fresh, tossed into the evening bowl with the berries, or the dried ones, but only the kind with no sugar added, and those are harder to find than they ought to be. Ruth puts a small handful of the whole frozen cranberries into her evening bowl 2 or 3 times a week, and that is plenty. Do not overdo it. And if you are on a medicine to thin the blood, talk to your doctor before you make cranberries a daily thing. because there is some question about the two not mixing well. So let me draw the whole of it together for you. For plain fruits, the tart cherry for the sleep and the gentle care of the kidneys through the night, the berries, the blueberries, and the strawberries for the quiet rust-stopping work that protects the kidneys and the heart year after year, the apple, cold and with the skin on, for the fiber and the steadying of the blood sugar before bed, and the cranberry, the real unsweetened kind, a few times a week for the care of the bladder and the waterworks. Not a one of them is a medicine. Not a one of them cures a thing. But all four of them, eaten faithful in a small bowl before bed, are a genuine kindness to the two quiet workers in your body that never get a dip, rest, and never get a thank you, and a kindness done faithful every evening is most of what keeps a body sound past 50, past 60, past 70, and into a good old age. Now here is the part nobody makes a dollar telling you. There's no money in telling you to eat a handful of berries and half an apple before bed. Nobody gets rich off a bowl of fruit that costs less than a candy bar. So that plain old knowledge goes quiet, and into the quiet rushes the whole supplement aisle, the kidney support capsules in the bright bottle, the cranberry extract pills at $10 a jar, the detox powders and the cleansing drinks and the special teas in the fancy boxes, every one of them promising to do for your kidneys what a bowl of plain fruit from the garden already does better. For a fraction of the price, I am not telling you there is a conspiracy. I am telling you something plainer and harder to fix than a conspiracy. The cheap, honest thing has no salesman, so it falls silent. And into that silence, the bottles shout from every shelf and every screen. The old wisdom did not get proven wrong. It just had nothing to sell, so it got out shouted. And now folks past 50 spend a fortune on kidney supplements when a small bowl of berries and a glass of sour cherry juice would have served them better for near nothing. Tell me in the comments below, do you eat fruit in the evening, or have you fallen out of the habit? And did your grandmother or your grandfather have a way about the evening meal? A thing they always ate before bed? A fruit they grew or a bowl they kept? Where did your family come from, and what did the old folks in your line lean on to keep their bodies strong? Near every family had some little evening way, and most of those ways are slipping out of memory for the plain reason that nobody writes them down. So write yours down here. I read every single one. Next video. Since tonight we talked about the plain fruits that are kind to the kidneys before bed, the next one I want to do is on the plain old garden greens and the foods that keep the blood strong and clean. The very thing the kidneys need to do their work well. Same honest rule. What is true, what is just, a nice story, and how we actually eat it. Subscribe so you do not miss it. Until then, tonight, before you go to bed, set out a small bowl, a handful of berries, a few slices of apple, a small glass of sour cherry juice if you have it. Eat it slow, the way Ruth and I do at the kitchen table every evening. It is not a medicine. It is not a miracle. It is just a plain old kindness to the two quiet workers that have been cleaning your blood every hour of every day since before you took your first breath. The old people did not have a supplement aisle. They had a garden, a fruit bowl, and the good sense to eat something kind before they laid down. And that is a kind of wisdom that does not wear out in any house that still remembers it.